Hey, in this video I'm going to show you how I can split, cut and rejoin some video without needing to re-encode it using two freeware tools. So the first tool is AviDemux, and you can get that from this address here. I'll put that link in the video description, and the Windows downloads are right near the bottom of the page here. I'm using this Win64 version, and you can just get that by clicking FOSS-Hub there and downloading the installer. And the second tool is mkvtoolnix, and again you can get it from this address here. I'll put that in the video description. And if you scroll towards the bottom of the page, there is a Windows download here. Just click download from FOSS-Hub. I'm using the Windows portable version. You can use whatever one you like. So both those tools are installed. So I have some game footage I recorded, so I'll just play that. So at the start of the video you can see me messing about with some settings, and also I just want to cut that out, and halfway through, this is the first stage. After that there's like a loading screen here before the second part of the stage begins. So what I want to do is just chop those bits out without needing to re-encode the video. So first tool is AviDemux. So I'm going to drag in my video into the window. I'm just going to cut this first part out. You could drag along the timeline here to find your position in the video. You can press play to hear the video and obviously find what point you want to start at. One thing to add, when you set a split point or a cut point for the video, it's because we're not re-encoding, the exact frame number isn't accurate. So you might see a couple of frames one side or the other, and a lot of this depends on the format of the video and the way it was encoded. I think it's using a keyframe point, so this could be anywhere from a couple of frames to maybe even a couple of seconds of footage, but largely this is useful for taking big chunks. I actually use it for removing adverts from films and stuff I've recorded on TV. And the other thing to mention is that the format or the container it puts the video into, it will be MKV, as you can see there. Just make sure that's on mkvtoolnix if it's not. So anyway, right, okay, so I'll set that as my in point. So I'll double click A there, and I want this to end at the end of the race. So there's the finish. That'll do. So that's going to be my out point. I'm going to double click B. I'm going to save that as part 1, and that's taken that chunk out. And now I'm just going to skip ahead a bit to maybe the start of this level. Okay, so that'll be the start of my second part, and this will go right to the end where I don't quite get across the checkpoint, and I'll make that the end point. So I'm going to save that as part 2. So what this has done is taken my original video is MP4, it's now MKV. It's the same codecs, H.264 and AAC, whatever it was I used, but now inside the MKV container. So obviously these parts, if you just want to use the parts, need to play back on whatever device you're going to play it back in. Anyway, so this is part 1. So you might notice there, I think I set my in point at the black screen, but it actually included a good few seconds. And again, you just have to remember that when you're cutting with this. So it's not the most accurate. Having said that, I split some TS files with MPEG-2 encoding, and they split on almost the second, so they're very accurate. It just depends on how the file's been recorded to the drive. So this will go right near the finish. That's the end of that, and this one should be stage 2. And again, that's included a couple of seconds before I actually wanted that to end. And so that one ended at the end of that track. So we're going to close AviDemux, and we're going to open mkvtoolnix. So we're going to drag in the first part, because what we'll do now is join those two files together, and we're now going to append the second part. So add part 2 to the first part. And if you've got like 10 files or something, when you go to append, just make sure you select all the files, and all your parts really should be named in the correct order. So like part 1, 2, 3, 4, etc. So that you can add them all in one go, so you don't have to go through and add each part. So anyway, that's appended part 2 to part 1, so we'll just start multiplexing, and here's our output file. So if I play that back, should be part 1 and 2 joined together. There you go, that's it really. As I mentioned, it's not completely accurate at the point where you cut the video, and again this will vary depending on how the original file was encoded or recorded in the first place. So just bear that in mind, and also the output file is going to be in an MKV container, so whatever you're playing it back in has to support that, but if you're just playing it back on a computer then it shouldn't be a problem. 1 or 2 devices might have a problem. And just to add to that, 1 or 2 files where they've been joined, certain players, like I'm using SM Player, it might make like a catch up with the frames, so it'll go fast forward for a brief second, but the way to get around that is just to use a better player like Kodi, which is extremely good for playing back video, and from what I've tried that doesn't really cause any problems. Anyway, hopefully this has been interesting or useful to you. If it has, please give me a thumbs up, or if you'd like to subscribe, please do that. Thanks for watching.